How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. The market crash is getting worse, the crypto crash, and I will apologize. I'm trying to keep a low volume because it is still early here. I woke up and started making this video pretty much right away. But the market crash is getting worse. As you can see here, Bitcoin is down to 106,000. It actually went to 103,500 just moments ago. I want to go through what's happening right now, what I'm doing, whether this is, huge cause for concern, whether this is a good buying opportunity. And of course, at the end of the day, you have to make your own decision with what you're going to do at this point, because we are falling down, right? We are 20% off the high in about 10 days. Some people are screaming bear market. Some people are saying, no, this is the perfect dip to wipe everyone out right before we go to new all-time highs. So we'll talk about those possibilities. Before we get started, if you don't mind, hit subscribe so you can see future videos. Also, if you want to trade crypto, now is a really good time to do it, because right now at BYDeFi, we have this up to $13,000 in bonuses and a deposit bonus at the same time. So if you're someone looking at this and saying, we're going to go lower, you can short the market and put your money where your mouth is. I don't typically like to do that, but if you're sitting here saying, well, we're very close to the previous support line, the key psychological support of $100,000, we haven't been below $98,000 since May. You could say, well, I want to open up a 10x long or 5x long or something like that. I do recommend lower leverage, but that would give you more than enough cushion so that you won't get liquidated for a while. But of course, make your own decision, right? Again, I use lower leverage than 10x for the most part. Now, woke up, saw Bitcoin at $105,000, and while it's a bit surprising because we haven't seen Bitcoin under 105 except for a few moments last Friday. We haven't seen it under 105 in a very long time. While that's a little bit surprising, also on the other hand, nothing really surprises me in crypto anymore, right? We have VOO down a little bit in the pre-market. You can see down like 0.36%. If we look here, NASDAQ's down like 0.6%. It's starting to rebound a little bit, so don't be surprised if Bitcoin does something similar. We're seeing a lot of people getting liquidated again today. So right now we have nearly $1 billion worth of longs liquidated. Basically what's happening is a lot of people, after we have these big dips and we start to see a rebound, they go aggressively long, which you can make money on this, right? I made money, but you have to temper expectations. Because a lot of these market manipulators, a lot of the whales will try to push down the market. We crash and crash and crash, huge liquidation event. We start to rebound. People get over aggressively long. Again, this is why I say use low leverage. And then we fall back down and liquidate those longs once again. So I'd be careful about using high leverage. That's why I always talk about low leverage. If you're going to use leverage in general, like 3 to 5x leverage, after we've seen these big pullbacks, I think makes sense. But if you're 10x long at 114,000, you're very close to liquidation now. So you have to be careful of those instances. We also have Binance continuing to dump millions in Bitcoin and ETH to liquidate long. So there are market manipulators, like I said, just trying to force out positions today. Jesse Eccles says the market is dumping right at the perfect time to push all the 4-year cycle maxis to exit, right before we transition into an easing cycle and the actual bull run kicks off in 2026. Imagine holding for 4 years just to sell before everything actually takes off. That would be max pain. That's an interesting point. We've been showing this chart for years on the channel, the Bitcoin spiral, right? And typically, it's, for me, it's been very easy to hold for 20% dips. Like, I've never had a hard time doing that this entire bull run. But the fourth quarter feels a little bit different because this is typically where we peak out. So I'm guessing other people are feeling the same thing. This last blue dot in every circle shows the last all-time high of the cycle, and then we go into a bear market for a year. So while I feel like this, we could be getting towards the end of the cycle, other people are feeling the same way, most likely. Now, let me give you my thoughts on it in a moment before anyone, keyboard warriors me in the comments. But I know that people are feeling that way. There are a lot of people that have a lot of altcoin positions that maybe like one has gone up and then they didn't take profits, and like a different one went up and they didn't take profits, and now they're all down. So a lot of people are probably feeling a lot of pain because they never really got to take profits when they wanted to in Q4. Now, for me on the channel, I've said again 1,000 times that I am 90% plus Bitcoin. So I've had a really good cycle. However, I still want to sell my 8 or 10% altcoins this quarter. But if we continue going down, like there might not be a great exit point, right? And at some point you might just cut your losses. But if Ethereum's at 3,800 and I don't know, Solana's at 170 or something, 180, a lot of people don't want to sell there. And I get that. I've described before that I'm actually buying Bitcoin. The last few months, I've slowly dripped some of my income into Bitcoin because I really don't want to sell Bitcoin ever, unless it just gets to an incredible valuation. And I just feel like I have to take some off the table to rebalance a little bit or to buy something. But I get that some people are probably very upset with not being able to sell and they don't want to go through another bear market. And if you're holding crap, yeah, you probably should sell. Like rebalance to maybe some cryptos that you like, even if you don't think they're going to pump as much. Because at this point, if alts are going to go up, Bitcoin's going to go up first, most likely. We're not going to see a huge alt season with Bitcoin falling down, right? So I think it still makes sense to rebalance heavy Bitcoin. With that being said, is what Jesse Eccles said correct? That this is just like the final push to get people out of the market right before we go into 2026? It could be because we are seeing just about every other asset hit all-time highs. Gold hit 4350, almost 4400 today. It's over 30 trillion in market cap. It's not even like it's 200 billion over 30 trillion after this little dip here of what, 1%. I mean, it's incredible what gold's at. It was actually at 30.5 trillion just a few hours ago. So gold's hitting new all-time highs, which is a hard asset, kind of similar to Bitcoin. Real estate is doing fine. The traditional markets, S&P 500, NASDAQ, are at all-time highs or were at all-time highs just a few days ago, right? So the Fed is lowering rates. I think everything that you would want for Bitcoin to hit all-time highs is happening. So some people are thinking about it very positively that that's the case, and some are very negative, saying, well, if we're hitting, if every indicator shows that Bitcoin should be doing well and it's not doing well, well, then why am I in Bitcoin? On the other hand, some people are saying if every indicator shows that Bitcoin should be doing well and it's not doing well, it's not hitting all-time highs. Keep in mind, it was at all-time highs 10 days ago. But if everything is showing that it should be doing well and it's not, that's just a great risk reward right there. Like if I can buy something where it looks like it should go up, it smells like it should go up, it sounds like it should go up, and it's 20% off its all-time high while everything else is pumping in the market, I would be an idiot not to buy that, right? And I think there's a good case to be made for that too, right? So could we fall further? Yeah, we could. I think the final thing that we could see that would, I think, shake out a lot of investors. Now, some people are pointing to this and saying, well, we could fall down to like this $90,000 range. I think really we don't need to go that far to shake out a lot of bulls. I think if we went below where we fell last Friday, so below 103,000, we broke through 100,000, and then we went below 98,000, I think that would scare a lot of investors, especially at this point in the market, to the point where I think there are going to be a lot of Bitcoiners that get out. Now, I don't think we'll have some of the structural issues that we had last cycle, and I don't think that I don't think a lot of the very wealthy people that have put money into Bitcoin will try to like rush out of the market at that point. I think we'll see liquidations. We'll see, depending on how aggressively we go down, we might see some people that have managed risk poorly that have like fundamental collapses in their business, kind of like, the hedge funds that blew up last cycle, or the trading companies. But that itself would be like a 22% drop from the high. So still not even that much compared to what we've seen in the past. Not even as much as what we saw here back last year to, or yeah, I guess last year to April, or beginning of this year to April. It was about a 31% dip. We saw a similar dip here. We saw a similar dip back here. We regularly see 25 to 35% dips, but this I think would feel a little bit different knowing where we are in the cycle. I don't plan on selling my Bitcoin for a loss, or I don't plan on selling it just in general here on this dip. I don't plan on panicking out of the market. I don't think that's wise. Some people are pointing to Bitcoin and saying, why isn't it doing better? And zoom out, and it's performing really well. I mean, let's look at Bitcoin here. This year hasn't done great, right? It's up 14%. Basically in line with the traditional markets like VOO. But zoom out a year, it's up 57%. It's like right on pace with gold, just slightly worse than gold. And that's after gold's gone on a historic run and people feel like Bitcoin hasn't done anything. But you zoom out even more, like, okay, let's go 2 years back or something like that. Let's go 2 years back. 2 years back, Bitcoin's up 211%. Since the bottom of the cycle, it's up 568%. So it's done well, basically on every time frame, unless you bought at the peak, right? I don't think I'm down on really any Bitcoin, I guess, besides the last couple months where I put in a very small amount, like less than 1% of my portfolio. So I don't plan on panicking. I don't plan on leaving this market now that we're down 20%. If anything, it seems like Bitcoin makes more sense now than ever. Like, again, we're in a crazy world where there's crazy money printing. The Fed just said that they're going to turn on the money printer, and people are bearish because the price is going down, but they're not bearish for any other reason. Right? There's no reason to be bearish on Bitcoin besides that right now, if you've liked Bitcoin in the past. I think it makes sense to trade this as well. We're very close to support levels, significant support levels, right? 103,000, 100,000, 98,000. Like I said, manipulators could push the market below it, and that would make a lot of people worried. So, I'd have a little bit of extra money on the sideline, also have some money to add extra margin. Also, I'd be using lower leverage, right? We are negative on some of our positions now, to be clear. Some of this one actually looks negative, but it's actually, I guess it's just slightly negative now because I had another position that I got over 100% gain in. I put into this, so to be negative, I'd have to be 50% down. But I have these positions low leverage, so that way they can withstand this volatility. And we've also taken like life-changing amounts of profit throughout this bull run. So I'm not worried about this. There are other positions we're still up like 500, 600, 700% in on other platforms because I do like using multiple platforms. I like trying all the platforms out that I have in the comments. So if you want to try some of them, check out BYDeFi underneath the video. Check out BTCC, BitDNX, Weeks, Blowfin. I think all of them are really good platforms. And I'd use multiple platforms too if you're going to trade, because sometimes when there's a lot of volatility, the platforms go down. Let me know your thoughts. Honestly, there isn't a ton of news. It's not like, oh, I don't know, some exchange blew up today or something like that. Like, I guess, there's now even a little bit of, a little bit of a jump in the market because president says no when asked if China tariffs will stand. So like, there's going to be back and forth. There's going to be manipulation. So be ready for anything. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you have any like deep burning questions down below in the comments. I scan through. There are lots of scammers, so be careful of those. But I scan through to see as many of the real comments as possible. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.